What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Alibaba versus Aliexpress. So for those who are new, who are getting into drop shipping, who are getting into starting their own business, maybe they're not drop shipping, maybe they're white labeling, maybe you're just buying stuff from Chinese websites like Alibaba and AliExpress, and you're deciding to sell the products. Without further ado, this video is going to help every single one of you guys navigate what the difference is between the two, okay? And we're going to talk about what are the benefits, what are the things you want to pay attention for, and, in all honesty, how to navigate through the whole process. Now, before we want to begin, I want to urge every single person who is using Shopify and who's interested in using Shopify to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we're going to be creating very soon the new Alphalete Shopify store. I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to create something similar or on par with this Alphalete website. I'm going to be showing everybody how to do it. So if you guys are interested on learning how to build a store like this, make sure you subscribe, and we're going to be uploading videos very soon for this new building series. For those who don't know, something I would do in the beginning of this YouTube channel, when I first started this YouTube channel, is I would upload videos showing people how to create certain websites on Shopify. And so I'm going to be doing that, and really excited for it. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Alibaba versus AliExpress. For people who sell on Shopify, sell on WooCommerce, sell on all these different platforms, these names are not new to you. You know about this. But the question is, what is better? And the answer is there's really not one that's better. I'm going to be talking about the differences. I'm going to be talking about things you want to watch out for. So first of all, you want to watch out for on Alibaba. When you create an account, guys, you're going to be, and you sign up properly, you're going to be getting loads and loads of messages from manufacturers or distributors. Now, I want to talk about what the difference between the two are, okay? So a manufacturer can be a distributor, but a distributor is technically not a manufacturer. The reason why there's a big difference behind this is because you have to understand that there are different classes of individual that are going to message you when you sign up to Alibaba.com. Okay? You will get, when I say hundreds, you will get hundreds and thousands of emails from people, if you sign up in certain sections of Alibaba, from people who are manufacturing products that you are looking for. Okay? And this is not something that I'm making up. This is 100% true. Okay? Manufacturers are looking for people like you to essentially make money off of. Now, there are safe manufacturers and there are scammers. This is something you also have to be aware of. Okay? What typically tends to happen on Alibaba is you don't typically tend to see a website like this where you could just start an order. Really, the way it works is something like this. Let's say we're searching for, let's say power tools. Let's just search power tools, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find, let's find here an expensive power tool set. So let's say right here, okay? If you notice here, okay, okay, so take a look at this listing right here with Alibaba, all right? So this listing with Alibaba, you can buy these rocks, right? Take a look at the photo. You can buy these rocks, okay? And they have certain price points. Basically, the way you would buy a product like this is you would have to contact the supplier and negotiate and communicate with them. You wouldn't actually buy the product on the website. Now, there are other products on Alibaba.com. For example, if I search power tools and I click on this link right here, you could see that I could order the product right on the website. Okay? You could see here that I could order the product right on the website. Now, the thing about this product, guys, the thing about this website is that you have options to directly purchase from the manufacturer or distributor, and or you have the ability to directly purchase or communicate with the supplier without purchasing. Now, what does this make a difference? Well, here's the problem, okay? There are a lot of people that get scammed on Alibaba. What will happen is there will be people who claim to be manufacturers, and they will reach out to you and say, we're going to create this and this product for you, and they'll quote you a ridiculously low price, and you'll pay the payment for that product, and it will never show up. Now, you can ask me, well, can't I dispute it or can't I argue with it? The purchase. The answer is absolutely not. You cannot, because typically what you're going to do is you're going to do a wire transfer. And the problem with wire transfers is they are very, very hard, if not impossible, to recover. It basically, kiss your money goodbye if you're planning on doing a wire transfer. You have to put all your trust in your manufacturer. Now, I want to share a personal story. Is that when I created my very first brand, which is the clothing brand, when I bought my product, I bought a whole lot of product. I paid the money, okay? And when I say a whole lot, it was a whole lot for me at the time. I spent majority of my money. I spent about $1,000 in equipment, in physical product. And that was basically all I had. But I was essentially wishing or hoping that the product would come in. And I was lucky enough that the product did come in. But the product, about 20% of the product was damaged. Okay? Now, I talked to the manufacturer. They gave me basically a bunch of excuses that were, nonsensical. And I decided not to deal with that manufacturer ever again. However, you have to realize, guys, that there are scammers that are just waiting, essentially, on people like me and you to take advantage of. So, I'm going to talk to you about how to mitigate these scammers on Alibaba. Well, the way it works on Alibaba is you're going to order a sample. Now, I don't mean ordering a sample like this, for example. Hold on, where's the link here? Like this, for example, where it says buy samples. I don't mean like that, but I mean when you're communicating with the seller, okay? You're going to negotiate with them and say, I want samples first. And they're going to send you samples. Now, typically, if it is a real a real business person, okay, they will be willing to send you these samples for free, and it's happened to me before. I've received my samples before. Then you have another group of manufacturers who simply don't want to send you the samples for free, and you have to pay the shipping price for them. Either way, it doesn't cost much, and you pay for these samples. Now, there's two reasons why you want to pay for samples. You want to get a quick idea of what the product is going to be like. That's number one. And number two, you want to see if the manufacturer is legit. If you're paying for samples, okay, and nothing comes back to you, then you know that manufacturer was in it to steal your money. So it was much better that you paid $200 or $300 or $500 as opposed to on samples, as opposed to paying, let's say, $4,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 on product that you will never receive. Okay? So that's the first reason, like I said, is the scammer part. The second part is so you get an idea of the quality. From the point of the quality, you can then edit the product how you want to and work and make negotiations with the seller. Okay? You want to make negotiations. You want to say, I want to change this. I want to change that color. I want to change the way this is set up, that's set up. And of course, there are going to be costs associated with these small changes, but that's essentially how white labeling and private labeling works when it comes down to selling products online, right? Now let's talk about ordering straight from Alibaba.com. So you can order products straight from Alibaba.com. Now the interesting thing about ordering straight from Alibaba.com is you're going to run into a few issues. Okay, the first issue is that if you, let's say, are not satisfied with your order, you're going to have to wait through a dispute period through Alibaba. And you don't always win the cases. It really just depends on who's reviewing the order. So it's almost like a PayPal kind of thing. If you guys are familiar with PayPal, there are some times where you'll dispute a product and you might not win the dispute. And there are some times you will win the dispute. It just varies, okay? So those are things you want to be aware of. On top of that, realize that when you order a product on Alibaba, okay, you're receiving exactly what they're offering, and you're typically not going to get it at a cheaper price than Aliexpress. This is a common myth that a lot of people think is true. They think that if they could just order the product on Alibaba, it would be much cheaper than if they ordered it one by one on Aliexpress. That's really not true. It's actually a myth, and I'll show you guys in real life why that is. So let's go ahead and go to AliExpress and select these pair of headphones right here called the BH10. Nice pair of headphones. I think anybody would agree based on the way they look. They cost $18.88 plus $3.71. You're looking at about $22 for the product, right? Let's just be fair and say $22, okay? Now, $22 for the product. Now let's go over here into Alibaba, and let's find that same product. That same product is right here. Now the product is $9.68, and that seems very, very attractive, right? $9.68. It's the same pair of headphones. Let me just grab the links here. Right, you have the white pair of headphones with the little symbol. Same thing right here. So it's the same thing, right? Well, $9.68 plus $15.55, which comes out to $25.23. Now, some may argue that it's not a big deal. It's only $2 or whatever. And I would agree. It's really not a big deal, right? The $2 difference. But when you're moving numbers, when you get to a point of real success and you're moving hundreds of units on a weekly basis, those $2 add up. Now, I know you guys might not be necessarily doing that right now. Maybe some of you are, but I want you to be aware of every single dollar. I think one of the biggest things that made me successful is that I got into a point halfway through my, I call it my mountain phase, right, where I was climbing up the mountain of success. Halfway through, right, when I really wasn't making any money and I was working very, very hard, I realized that I was spending more than that I was making. And I had to go back and I had to retrace my steps and I had to figure out how can I bring costs down. As an entrepreneur and as a business person, guys, when you finally build a successful business, it is the last thing that you want to deal with is to remodel your business because costs are too high. Okay? So from the start, from the jump, you have to realize how to get your product at the cheapest price possible, but yet fitting the same quality requirements that you have and that you expect for your business. Now, let's talk about buying in bulk and some issues that I've experienced before. So, when I was selling sneakers, I white-labeled sneakers, there was a time where I ordered, I believe, like 50 units of a certain sneaker in different sizes and in the color black, like all black on black, right? Well, I ordered them from Aliexpress, and they came back white and black. They didn't come back black. Well, in that case, I was lucky enough to be able to get my partial refund. I was able to, recoup some of my money because it's not exactly what I ordered. And then I was able to sell some of that product, and some I didn't, some I did. And either way, the product was not essentially perfect quality. So something that you want to be aware of is whether you're buying on Alibaba, okay, power tools, or maybe you're buying these headphones, for example, right? Whether you're buying from Alibaba or you're buying from AliExpress, you can't expect perfect quality. You just can't expect it. There's going to be things that just don't come functioning properly. So, for example, these headphones, maybe the box is bent up, or maybe one of the buttons don't work, or maybe the wireless headphones come in a certain language, or maybe some of them maybe miss their instructions. It really just depends on the actual seller, and you're going to have to order from the seller, and you're going to have to do tests. If you're buying from AliExpress, don't just buy 20 in one shot, or 50 in one shot, or 60 units in one shot. Buy one or two and see what comes in. Now, something that I also realized was manufacturers know on AliExpress when you are buying multiple of the same product. Let me explain. So let's say I'm buying 10 units in October. Let's say I buy 50 units in December, and then January I buy 100 units. Well, on January, when I buy 100 units, the AliExpress store owner, I guess you could say, so for example, a store like this, they'll know that I have purchased units in the past. And what they'll do is, I've noticed this, is they will cut corners. They will do things because they know that you're essentially relying on them as a manufacturer, okay? And they will cut corners. I'll give you an example. I was running a jewelry business at one point, and I would buy gold-plated jewelry. And part of the gold-plated jewelry at first, from this one manufacturer that I was ordering from, everything was perfectly fine, right? And then time after time after time after time, the quality started to dwindle, 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 dwindle. So, what I recommend that you guys do is you have to stay on top of quality control. When you get a product, you have to check it for quality. And if there's something goes wrong with it, you have to address it immediately with the manufacturer on Aliexpress. And you have to open a dispute and you have to tell them, this is my issue. Okay? How are we going to work this out? And typically, you'll get a partial refund, but they'll recognize your name if you're going to be a long-term buyer, right? And remember that the reason for this is that you don't want to hurt their business. You want to make a good business for the future between you and that manufacturer, and you have to make it very clear that you're not a one-time customer. You're going to be buying multiple times on a schedule, and that's why it's best to be treated best, okay, as a customer. Okay, now let's talk about pricing. Like I said, there's a myth that people believe that a product might be cheaper on Alibaba than it is on AliExpress. That is not true. I need everybody to truly know that. That is not true. Okay? What really makes a product cheaper is when you buy it in bulk and when you go the separate route through the communication with the actual manufacturer. So, I mean, there are some elements in time where it'll be a little more expensive, but what you're really doing is when you message a manufacturer personally and you communicate with them one-on-one, then you will have a better chance to get the product on a cheaper price, okay? Also, on top of that, there's no options for shippings or cheaper shipping with Alibaba. So if it was up to me, I'd rather have a little bit cheaper shipping here because I feel like it's a little bit overpriced. $15 to ship a single product. The shipping costs more than the actual product. But unfortunately, that's what you're expecting with things like this. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the product will come faster. Look over here to the right. You see the shipping time, which is 10 to 15 days, and then the processing time is an additional 7 days. And for those who get a little bit confused, as I did in the beginning, processing time means that once you pay for the order, they have to process the order. They have to take the order. They have to take the product. They have to make the product, if that's the case. They have to package it. They have to ship it. Once it's shipped, then it goes into the shipping days, which is 10 to 15 days. So for them to make the product, package it, make sure it's good to go, slap that shipping label on it, and get it to the post office takes 7 days for them. And then the shipping date is 10 to 15 days, meaning they'll pay for shipping that is 10 to 15 days of speed. Now, for the most part, and what I've realized is that this time right here, as it says in the settings here, it does not include weekends, guys. So this is business days. And so let's say there's Memorial Day. Let's say there's a Sunday, a Saturday. These 10 to 15 days are business days. So you're paying for the extra shipping, but you're not getting the product necessarily any faster. There are 5 business days in a week aside from any holidays. So if we have 10 to 15 days, you're looking at a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks for shipping. Okay, that's really what you're looking at. And then you have another processing time of 7 days. And once again, these 7 days sometimes it just depends on the manufacturer. Sometimes it's business days, sometimes it's regular, and you could kind of read what it says here, right? But you have to remember that this is an additional 7 days. So let's just say shipping time takes 15 days. Let's take worst case scenario, because that's what we have to expect when it comes to business, is you always have to expect the worst so you're not surprised in a negative fashion, okay? We never want to be surprised in a bad way. We want to be surprised in a good way. So we always take worst case scenario up front. So 15 days, which really means 3 weeks, okay? Let me pull up my calendar here. And let's just say I ordered my products on January 1st, okay? January 1st is a Friday. Well, 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3, is roughly when I'm going to get my products. But here's the thing. We talked about processing time, which is another 7 days. So I'm going to get my products roughly from this this guy who's shipping out my products in roughly a month, in roughly 30 days or 29 days, okay? Now, the problem with that is that if I just went to Aliexpress and I ordered the exact same product, which is right here, this is the exact same product, For $18.88, I'm paying $3 for shipping, but I'll get it roughly at the same time. Okay? Now, with that being said, sometimes, and this is what I like with AliExpress, is that if you order many units, okay, yes, you'll be paying more for shipping sometimes it's free shipping, but what happens is since you're paying more for shipping, they'll ship out the product faster since they're making more profit margin. So you want to be aware of that. Sometimes a manufacturer that wants to build a relationship with their consumers will do that. So you want to be aware of that. Okay? Now, something you also want to be aware of, and a common myth, is that sellers on AliExpress and Alibaba are not always from China. This is another myth that people always talk about. Now, why am I saying that, and why does this even matter? Well, you have to be aware of custom fees. Customs are very, very, very expensive. And if you don't pay for customs, sometimes you won't receive, or not sometimes, but if there are customs, you will not, and I repeat, you will not receive your products. Customs are very, very expensive. Okay? Now, custom fees are typically on the buyer for you to pay, and you will have to pay them if they exist. So you want to do your research on what kind of fees can you expect with customs. It's not a pretty thing when you pay, let's say, $25 for a sample product, but you have to pay $100-something in customs. Okay? Same thing with a larger order, right? If you pay, let's say, $6,000 for an order, and then you have to pay fees on customs depending on what country you're located in, it's not really a pretty sight, or it's not the thing you want to deal with. And most people, when it's their first time ordering or anything like that, this whole idea of customs, they have never been exposed to it. They are not aware of it, and it hits them right in the face. So you want to be aware of that, okay? Now, also, going back to what I was saying, that there's not all sellers on Alibaba and AliExpress are from China. There are some from India. There are some from the Philippines. There are some from India. There are some from Ireland. The list goes on and on. So you want to be aware, where is the manufacturer made? Now, the overwhelming majority of manufacturers are Chinese manufacturers. But, excuse me, you have to do your research once again. So all of these things matter when it comes to building a business, because manufacturing is one of the hurdles that we call logistics. When we talk about manufacturing and distribution, logistics essentially is where this fits, and it is a lot of times the straw that breaks the camel's back and hurts the success of a lot of businesses. I can tell you this because I've ran an official business with an official warehouse space with official employees, and I can tell you for a fact, okay, that logistics are going to be the things that hold you back the most. Another example, for example, of logistics is when you hire employees. What is your hiring process like? Your hiring process is going to be a direct representation of the kind of employees that are working for you. Are they stealing from your business? Are they showing up late? All these things are logistical errors that come into play, or maybe not errors, but are logistical components, right? Are you training your employees properly? Are you getting your product shipped out properly? Are employees caring for the product? Are they doing a quality review on all the products that go in and out? You have to be aware of these things, and these things matter. And the reason why I'm talking about this, and I think this talk was needed to be talked about, is because when we go on Shopify, guys, and we search YouTube Shopify, right? What do we see? We see all the headlines. We see the fancy stuff. Oh, how I made 40 grand in 3 days, and how I made 600 grand in 1 month, and at the age of 19. The reality is, guys, that stuff doesn't exist unless you're extremely experienced or you're faking your numbers. You can't just start a business and make $1 million your first 2 months with no prior experience. Unless you're a genius like Elon Musk, that's a completely different story. The reality is building a business is extremely difficult. And this is the first step. Finding your product is the very first step. Now, why does this all matter, and how does this relate to our YouTube channel, even though I talk about Shopify themes and website design and things like that? Well, your website is nothing if you don't have the logistics taken care of. If you don't have the right product, if you're not, your product photos are not optimized correctly, if you're not getting the right manufacturer on board with your team, if you're not getting the product shipped out in time, if you're not receiving a high quality product, It doesn't matter how much optimization you build on your website. It doesn't matter how good your website looks. Every order that customer gets, they're going to dispute, or they're never going to order from you ever again, and it's going to be a failing business. Remember that you should have roughly 35% of returning customers for your business. On average, of course, every niche is slightly different. If you're in the supplement market, it should be a little bit higher. If you're in, for example, a clothing market, it should be about 35%. If you're in cosmetics, it should be a little bit lower. If you're in jewelry, it should be a little bit lower. But generally, just on average, it's about 35% is the number to reach, or the goal to reach. Just how people say the number to reach is 5% conversion rate on Shopify, I personally say it should be higher, and that's actually what I teach on YouTube. But overall, your conversion rate is going to range higher, right? Your conversion rate is going to go up when you're delivering a better product and you have your logistics in place for your business. So this was a logistical conversation about what's better, Aliexpress or Alibaba. And the answer is one is not better than the other, but they are very different yet very the same. They're essentially two sides to a coin, okay? And you have to pick which one you're going to go for the products that you have. In this video, I laid out all the different ideas of things that could possibly happen to you when you're buying from Aliexpress and when you're buying from Alibaba. So with all that, keep in mind, guys, that the one thing that will reign true amongst all videos is that your hard work will reign supreme. You could watch this video and you could watch a million other videos, but if you don't act on your watching, if you don't execute, if you don't put in the hard work, you're not going to receive anything. So I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure you subscribe if you want to continue watching the series where I show you guys how to build a website that looks like outfleet.com. And I'll talk to you guys later, all right? Thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Bye.